Okay, my friends, here it is. The video that is going to show you the absolute best, most effective, foolproof way to tell exactly when to water your seedlings, either in trays or in pots of any kind. So listen up, guys. I developed this system over many years of growing in Northern California, and I was starting up tens of thousands of plants, and I had to tell exactly when to water them because letting them dry out even once is a catastrophe, and keeping them too moist is also a catastrophe. In fact, this is the #1 problem for indoor seed starting setups and things like that, is overwatering or inconsistencies in the watering because people don't know how to tell. They read online, okay, well, wait until the top 1/4 of an inch is dry or the top 3 millimeters of the soil is dry. But that's not effective. You can't be digging down into the soil, and visually you can't tell how deep the dryness is. So all of those are cumbersome methods, and none of them compare to this method, okay? So I'm gonna say a couple things about it, and then we'll take you into the basement and show you exactly how to do this. Now, the best way to do anything is by feel, for the most part. Definitely when it comes to anything with gardening, with growing, as far as the elements are concerned, feel is the way to go. So when people ask me, and they ask me all the time, what's the best watering schedule? How often do you water? Timing has nothing to do with it. The plant does not know if it's been 3 days or 4 days since it's been watered. So, or if it's a Tuesday or if it's a Saturday. None of that matters. And it also doesn't know if the top 3 millimeters of the soil are dry compared to the bottom. It only knows how saturated it feels, okay? So throw away any concept of every 3 days water or any of those amounts. What we have to do is we have to learn to train ourselves, and I'll show you the technique in a minute, to go by feel, and so that we can feel how saturated it is. And that's the only indicator that we need. Because remember, guys, that is the #1 problem on the indoor, is the overwatering, the oversaturation. You get that green sort of mold, you get damping off disease where they just don't thrive. If you look at a lot of people, if you go on Facebook groups and stuff and you see, a lot of people posting their setups and stuff, and I just see overwater, 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 struggling seedling, struggling dying seedling, damping off disease, all kinds of issues. It all comes from the water, my friends. Because remember, plants need 5 things. Light, water, air, nutrients, and it all has to happen at the right temperature. But they're an equation in the sense that any one of them can be the limiting factor. So if you don't have enough, or if you don't have enough water, or you have too much water, it doesn't matter how right the other ones are, it's not going to function. So with that in mind, let us go into the basement. I will show you this fantastic technique, and then we'll come back and I'll say a few specifics. Okay guys, first step is we are going to take our soil of choice and we are going to make 2 distinctly separate batches with it. One batch, we're going to allow it to become bone dry. I spread it out here in this big container and I let it dry for a number of days until there's no moisture left in this soil. It's like sand or dust. You squeeze it and it just falls apart in your hand, no problem. And so this is bone dry. Now we're going to make another separate batch with the same exact soil, and we're going to super saturate it. We're going to mix in lots of water until when we give it a squeeze, water runs freely from our hand. And then, so here we are, we've got our bone dry soil, and then we've got our soaking wet soil. Now here's the important part. We want to make 2 distinctly separate batches, and we're going to use trays because we usually use trays. You could also use pots or whatever it is you're growing in. We're going to fill one with the soaking wet and one with the bone dry. Now you lift the bone dry one and you will notice that it is way lighter than the heavy one. And so we want to just lift over and over and feel, wow, the super saturated one is so much heavier. So if you have a scale, you can do this technique. If not, then just observe and you will see. So we see the soaking wet one is 15 pounds, and as opposed to the bone dry one is 5.4 pounds. So ideally, we want one that is halfway in between those two. So water is 8 pounds a gallon. Here's a gallon of water. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a 3rd tray and we're going to fill it full of fresh soil. And then we are going to add water until it reaches about halfway between the soaking wet and the bone dry, which we'll say is 10 pounds. So we're going to add the water until it's 10 pounds. And this one is going to be our ideal saturation that we want to aim for in our watering. So we have our bone dry, which is feather light. We have the ideally saturated one in the middle, and we have the way too saturated one on the right. Now, over and over, dozens or hundreds of times, we just want to lift it in every different way that we can so that we can get a feel for it, what the ideally saturated one is in the middle. And if you're doing solo cups, then go ahead and put some of the soil into the solo cups and do over and over and over. And you will soon get the muscle memory. The muscle and mind connection will be trained so that you can lift it up and you can feel, whoa, that one's super light, it's bone dry, needs water. Whoa, that one's super heavy, it's got too much water. And then the middle one is just right. And practice, and before long you'll be a pro, guys. You'll be able to walk into the grow room, say, whoa, that one needs a little bit of water. No, these ones don't. You can even do different shape pots once you get custom. Yeah, this one is fine, doesn't need anything. This one here, ooh, very light, it's gonna need some water. Ooh, this one's quite heavy, it doesn't need any water. So there you go, my friends. But here's the key. You have to keep practicing. You have to get that muscle memory. You have to get it so that you can just walk into the grow room and just, yep, that one. No, that one's good. Okay, yep, that one. You have to be able to tell like that. And even if you have 1,000 1-gallon pots, all like in a greenhouse area, so long as they're getting similar environmental conditions, then you can just go through and randomly pick up a few of them, lightly feel and say, okay, they're all ready. They're ready to be watered. If not, okay, they're not ready. But you can adapt this. You can scale it up or down. Any plant that is in a pot, this is going to be ideal for it. So if you feel like you gained something from this video, share the video and give it a thumbs up. Share it to the Facebook groups or whoever else needs to know the secret method of the masters. Yes, all kinds of links in the description. If you want to get the heat mats and the lights and the seed starting tent that you saw in this video, all that stuff, links are in the description. It's time to get ready, my friends. The season is on its way. And I will direct you to this video here if you have not done so yet. Make this solution 5 times and apply it to your soil before planting for a bountiful season.